time for day 3 of the G1 CLIMAX 34 recap and reviews here on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show podcast. I, of course, am Mr. Warren Hayes, and you are in here because you are excited or intrigued or want to get some thoughts, some analysis regarding the G1 CLIMAX 34. As a reminder, I do these on the reg. I do these daily, so if you are jumping in off of a video recommendation on YouTube, or you just stumbled across this on your favorite podcast application, I do these every day that the G1 has a show. So subscribe, follow, join, whatever it is you need to do. That way you'll be sure you won't miss a single thing. Plus everything is on YouTube anyway. The YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. Everything is all put together, compiled into a playlist. So, there's no excuse to miss out. There is no excuse for you to, there is no single reason why you should be missing out on my reviews. Just saying. Reviews and analysis, and on top of that and everything. Why don't we just get to it? We had the icebreakers over the past couple of days with the first 2 nights, so we got, we started getting our groove on, started getting back into the swing of things. Now we're swinging, we're going hard on night 3. Night 3, which, in my opinion, so far, I mean, we're only 3 nights in, right? But nonetheless, I feel like night 3 is the most uneven of all 3 that we've had so far. I thought night 1 was great. I thought night 2 was very good as well. Very solid evening of wrestling. Here, I'm like, okay, might do some back and, we might, there's a little back and forth here, which I think keeps it overall not as interesting as the last 2 nights. Now, are we just booking the uninteresting matches to get those out of the way, which is absolutely fair? I am absolutely okay with that. Maybe, that maybe that's the strategy. Cause, look, the matches on this card that you thought were going to be, turned out to be very much, but we'll get to those individually. Let's start with the results that we have here from the Hiroshima Sun Plaza in Hiroshima. I will not be covering the undercard, the non-G1 matches. They will not be covered here. Just so you know, in case you're new here, I haven't been doing it for the past couple of years. We really focus on the tournament here, not the shenanigans that happened beforehand, not the undercard matches. I know the undercard matches sometimes advance stories that can impact what's happening in the tournament itself, but I'll let you know as we go along. You all want to hear about the tournament and the matches, and honestly, so do I. I want to talk about them is what I want to say. I mean, because I want to hear about it. Well, I also want to hear about it. I want to hear what y'all have to say. You can leave comments and join the Mr. Warren Hayes Show Discord. The link is in the description if you want to come in and chat about it. Like, of course, we wanted this to be as much of a two-way street as possible. So I do want to hear about it. Ultimately, is what I'm trying to say. But we're sticking to the G1 matches. So as far as that goes, we had one Block B match, which was a make-do because, as you all know by now, Konosuke Takeshita was wrestling in DDT at the Peter Pan show on Saturday. So this was the make-do for honoring that date. So one B block match and everything else was A block. Konosuke Takeshita defeated Jeff Cobb. As for the A block, now Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Callum Newman. Shingo Takagi defeated Great O-Khan. Gabe Kidd defeated Shota Umino. Evil defeated SANADA. And Tetsuya Naito defeated Jake Lee. These are not the right notes. These are Slammiversary notes. What are we doing here? Okay, there we go. Let's get right to it then. Let's start breaking down these matches with Takeshita defeating Jeff Cobb. I thought this match was tremendous. I thought it was really, really fun. Very, very, very good match. You know, what you have here is just two guys, two big dudes coming together, deciding to, you know, plant each other as hard as possible with the biggest power moves possible. What else could you want out of pro wrestling? Like, sometimes it you know, the most basic stuff works, and when it's done with two very talented pro wrestlers, Jeff Cobb is great. Takeshita is one of the best wrestlers on earth right now. I would argue that he's in the top 10, right? Yeah, sure. I'm gonna have that argument another time, though. Let's stay on focus. And they're just doing power moves. And so when you do it with these two guys here, is what I was saying, right? That's, yeah, circle back, Warren. When you're having such a simple match with two extremely talented guys, this is what you get. You get something absolutely tremendous that blows you away. This is so much fun. And it feels big and it feels impactful. It's the G1. And that's how all matches should feel. And we're doing this tremendous pounce early on in the match, right? That Jeff Cobb does to Takeshita, who just sells it. Like, Willow Nightingale's watching this match and is like, man, I wish people would sell it like that all the time. I wish they'd sell my pounce like that. Of course, Takeshita's flying, gut wrench suplex by Jeff Cobb, superplex, by Jeff Cobb, which is answered by a true to form top rope superplex by Takeshita, and who follows with the poison rana. Big lariats by Cobb, German with bridge by Takeshita. Jeff Cobb follows up with a spin cycle Uranagi, blue thunderbomb by Takeshita, and then they start striking each other, and Takeshita does the spinning suplex deal for the win. I can't remember. It's something fire, right? It's mega fire, blast fire, fire blast, mega fire blast. It's something like that. Whatever. But so Takeshita, as expected, moves forward with 2 more points on the board. This was a blast. I love it when the tournament when tournament matches start off with these types of matches where I'm go, all right. This is what I signed up for. This is why I want to do daily audio and video, right? This is exactly why. Then we had Zack Sabre Jr. defeating by the way, I gave the 3 3/4 stars to Cobb and Takeshita. Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Callum Newman. I thought this was very solid. I thought it was good. There was just a little something missing to really get me into it. I don't know if I was just like completely, that I had hit such a high early on that this one felt like a cool down match for me. I'm not saying it was a cool down match. I said it felt like that. I don't know if it's on me or not, but the work here was very good. And Zack Sabre Jr., not unlike I'm drawing a blank here, but Zack Sabre Jr. was very giving to Callum Newman here, right? And I feel like we talked about that not too long ago with, was it SANADA? I feel when he was wrestling Callum Newman. Like, Zack gave a lot here. And Zack, again, was not the master of his game here. I think the story they're telling with Newman here, and it started in the play-ins, right? And we're moving forward towards this, and it's that he's on the cusp. Like, he's this great talent. He can hold himself in the ring. He's not a J-Brone. He's not someone that you can push over very easily. He can hold his own with some of the top guys in the company. And, that was the case with SANADA, and it is the case with Zack Sabre Jr. as well. I remember now. It was Zack Sabre Jr. who on his he had a match. He had a match a couple of nights ago where he was very giving, right? Looking through my notes here. Yeah, it was with Great Okan, where he gave a lot to Great Okan. And now here, he's back again. Like, he wrestled Naito on night 2. And now he's back here again. And he's given a lot to this young kid. So I think it's fairly obvious that New Japan sees a lot in Newman, and they want to give him as much shine as possible. This is going to be his establishment party, right? This is where he comes in, does what he needs to do so that he can get some shine, so people will get excited about him, so that he can earn a spot in bigger things moving forward for New Japan. And I thought that he excelled here again. And I also thought Zack Sabre Jr. gave a lot. Like, a guy in his spot doesn't need to do that. But there he was, just feeding so much into, feeding Newman so much here, which again is tremendous. And, you remember, I mean, if you've been listening to my stuff previous to this, you remember when they announced the play-ins and whatnot, and I was sitting there going, well, this is all great as long as, the guys who come in or the guys who are left out are the schlubs who didn't put in any effort or weren't there to deliver good matches anymore, good to great matches. The Yujiros, the Yanos, and so on and so forth. And I was saying, well, yeah, if the play-in will be successful, if the new guys come in and there are no nights off, essentially, there's no match where you get an easy night off where everyone is always working, and this is what Callum Newman has been doing. I thought this was very good, and he throughout the match, he keeps Zack Sabre Jr. on his toes, keeps him out of his game, out of his submission game. Towards the end, Newman gets an octopus in and lands a code red. Zack Sabre Jr. then, following that, wraps him up into a submission. Newman tries to, and Newman at this point was pretty much in control. He had been in control for the majority of this match. He'd been in control for a substantial portion, having counters, hitting moves, hitting kicks, and when Zack Sabre Jr. when he hits the code red after the octopus and then gets wrapped up into the submission and from Zack Sabre Jr. and then taps, you're like, whoa, that really came out of nowhere. So if anything, this established two things, right? Of course, Callum Newman again having another very good match, another good performance to continue to establish him as a guy who has potential for the future. But then Zack Sabre Jr. coming in and being like, yeah, but I can make you tap at any given moment. Yeah, that danger, that looming danger that Zack Sabre Jr. has had for a long time, but just making sure that it's fresh in everyone's mind that Zack can turn the tables around in an instant, right? I thought this was very good. I thought it was very good. And as I'm talking about it, I'm going to raise my star rating. I gave it 3 and 3.25 star, but I'm going to bump it up to 3.5, 3.5. This is good. Zack Sabre Jr. now has 6 points on the board. Callum Newman still at 2. Has not won a match since the opening night of the G1. Then we had Shingo Takagi defeating the Great Okan. I really liked this too. I thought this was tremendous, and I gotta say, Great Okan in this tournament so far has been phenomenal. And this is something else that we had been talking about, right? And I'll express it here again. You know, everyone's been talking about the new guys, the young dudes coming in, you know, not just the Callum Newmans or the Oleg Boltons, but the Reiwa 3 plus Umera, right? The 3+1, you know, that this was their year, so on and so forth, right? And that the idea that they're getting rid of all of the dead weight from the past few G1s is a sign that on one end of their commitment to, you know, trying to put new guys over, but also has this like this second purpose of ringing an alarm bell for dudes who might suddenly feel who were quote unquote established, but might feel that their spots are in danger, that they need themselves to show up in this G1 so that management will see that they're worthwhile. I would argue that, you know, David Finlay is one of those guys, and he's been turning up. This is an A block recap, so we'll keep it to A block. Great-O-Khan, so far, I think has been tremendous. And I think this is my favorite Great-O-Khan match in quite a while. I think I liked it more than the Moxley match that he had. You know, when they're fighting all around the building, you know. Because he's showing up and he's working. He's got his boots on. And you can tell, like, he's pulling moves. He's pulling out his submission techniques. He's mixing it up. He's not just standing around slapping on a hold, doing the Mongolian chops, you know, doing his thing where he hasn't done yet the thing where he sits in the corner on top of a dude, right? Which is a, you know, bear with me, allow me the expression, a sports entertainment spot, right? It's something for the crowd, right? But he hasn't done it, which to me shows just how serious he's taking this. He's really turning it up this tournament, and I could not be more thrilled. I want more guys to feel like this. Like your spots, you know, I don't want to sound like, you know, like I'm above all of this, but to a degree, okay, let me phrase it this way. I think wrestling is more interesting and always ends up being better for fans when wrestlers feel their spots are in danger. When wrestlers feel maybe, or when wrestlers feel that they have to fight for their spots. Maybe not in danger, you know, but they have something to prove. There's that, the fans benefit immediately. This was really good. I thought this was tremendous. Pumping bomber by Shingo and a superplex as well. And they have, because don't forget, he is wrestling Shingo Takagi, right? Who's one of the greatest wrestlers in the world. And so, you know, you'd be hard pressed, you know, to get a stinker out of Shingo. That's phrasing. But nonetheless, he was, outside of wrestling with Shingo, this did not feel like a Shingo carry job in any way, shape, or form. I think Shingo went along with it. I think there were moments that you could tell Great-O-Khan was dictating the pace, and I thought it was tremendous. I thought this was really 3 3/4 stars for this, with Shingo ending the match with the pumping bomber and holding on to the neck for the win, which still tells you in which lane Great-O-Khan is. Or at least, yeah, but no, he's not in Shingo's lane. He's still a guy that Shingo can beat with a tertiary finisher. What's fourth after tertiary? What is it? Is it fourth tertiary? No, that's not it. And we've seen Shingo beat guys with this before. But you know, like if he had been wrestling Naito, if he had been wrestling, I don't know, who else is in this tournament? You know, maybe even some of the, you know, Jeff Cobb. I don't think he'd be able to put him away with that. You know, Zack. It's tremendous. Like a great, a really, really good match once again. Very good. 3 3/4. Gets another 2 points on the board for Shingo, who is now at 4. Gabe Kidd defeated Shota Umino. I love this match. What do you want from me? Like, this was tremendous. And you know, there's been so many rumors and, you know, whispers that Gabe Kidd and Shota, Gabe Kidd, did I say Gabe King? Gabe Kidd and Shota really don't like each other backstage. Like, there is like legitimate heat between the two. So again, this is the kind of stuff that makes that is beneficial for fans. This is the kind of stuff that makes it more exciting for someone like me, because I was excited about this match. Gabe Kidd on night 2 cut a scathing promo right into the camera, right? We're basically saying, you know, saying the quiet parts out loud, keeping it kayfabe to a degree. And then he gets to the ring, and both these guys, they just deliver, and they're going hard, and you know, they're doing drop kicks and backdrop suplexes, and they trade moves on each other, and you know, you get the ignition, you know, and Gabe Kidd is striking, but they're at some point they're stiffing each other hard. Cease, there's this moment where Kidd and Umino, they're trading forearms, and there's a little more gas to that, right? There's a little more oomph to all of it. When they do the open hand slaps, it's like, you can tell, you know, the Kid bleeds hard way on this one, or bleeds from the mouth. This was a stiff one, folks. How can you not be into this stuff? I'm sitting on the edge of my seat. I'm going, hell yeah, baby, it's the G1. Air it all out. Y'all don't love it. Y'all don't like each other. That's great. It's to my entertainment. I thought this was tremendous. I went 4 stars on this. Where Gabe Kidd, and I love the finish. I absolutely adored the finish. Where he leans into a lion tamer and does it proper. Gets the knee square in the lower back. Now, this, of course, is playing off Shota Umino's injury regarding his lower back, you know, the slip disc and the hips, right? And he's just like, He just drives it in there, and Shota's in pain. And I told you, they were going to lean into this story. This was going to be Shota's story. Yeah, I still go back and listen to my audio. I am still dubious in regards to these slip disc things. You know, a couple of years ago, Kazuchika Okada was running around telling people he had a slip disc and was wrestling anyway. And then all of a sudden, one day, he stopped wrestling like he had a slip disc and started wrestling like the Rainmaker again. So I'm just dubious about this stuff. I went through all of this. We're not doing it again. But the point is that this was established as a reason why Umino might not make it too far in the G1. That he might not score as many points as the other 3 because he had these severe injuries, right? And Gabe Kidd, what is he do? He's going to take advantage of it. He doesn't like the guy. And ends it with a gut wrench powerbomb. It's not even his finisher. Like, tremendous stuff. What are we doing? He does the lion tamer, keeps Umino in there long enough so that when he releases it and does the gut wrench, it's enough to put him away. That's the story we're telling, that Umino's back is shot. And Gabe Kidd exploited those injuries. 4 stars. This I thought was tremendous. And Gabe Kidd's work so far. You want to talk about some MVPs of the tournament so far? I got Gabe Kidd and I've got Dave Finlay on that list. Dave Finlay! But that's a B block. talking point. Let's bring that back in 2 days when we come back for night 4, right? Because as it stands right now, Gabe Kidd has been tremendous. And I know he's off-putting to a lot of people. I have always liked his War Dogs run. I keep saying the same reasons why over and over again, but they bear being repeated. He brought a passion and an energy to this company ever since the War Dogs started up that seldom others were bringing. Where everything felt very cold and I mean cold like, frosty, not cold as in the promotion is cold or that versus. I'm talking like in attitude, very distant, lack of connection. Gabe Kidd was out there throwing stuff around, trying to light a fuse under the audience and his opponents and whatnot. And I know trust me, I know some people just aren't into him. This ruled. 4 stars. And then it all came crashing down. Evil defeated SANADA. And, I mean, imagine in your head what a 2024 Evil versus SANADA match might sound like, might look like. And that's what you get. This is what it is. It's exactly what you think it is. And, they do the whole shtick with SANADA at first, giving him Evil giving him a t-shirt and, saying, do you want to join House of Torture? And SANADA says yes. And no one is buying this. No one is going, oh, yeah, my goodness. Oh. It's shtick, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. This did nothing for me. They go to the floor and, they do the timekeeper table spot, and then there's ref bumps and low blows are traded. You know the drill. You know how this went. You know exactly how this went. You know exactly how this finished. SANADA was stale bread SANADA standing there, doing his thing. Virtually no reactions, and Evil just doing bullshit. And it's frustrating. It's doubly frustrating when you have Evil, right? Just a couple of nights ago, fighting Gabe Kidd in a match that I loved, that I gave 4.25 stars to. Him and Gabe Kidd are going at it, and you're seeing big bruiser brawler Evil, from back in the day, making a comeback, and you're like, you know what? Evil can be good. Evil, that's a weird thing. If you clip that completely out of context, that really sounds weird. But the pro wrestler Evil, Takagi Watanabe, right? That's his name. I was trying to think about it. I was like, wait, I know his name. Takagi Watanabe, Evil, it can be good at pro wrestling. That's the frustrating part of this all. But this was exactly what you thought it was. It was uninspired and derivative and boring. And I got 2.75 stars for you on that. Because still well worked. That's the thing. But nothing. I got nothing for you. Made nothing for me. 18 minutes. It was the longest match on the show. 18 minutes. When I was more fulfilled watching Konosuke Takeshita and Jeff Cobb in a little 10-minute affair at the start of the show, dropping each other on their heads. I had to sit through 18 minutes of drywall SANADA and, evil doing shenanigans. Come on now. Couldn't get any worse, right? Well, Tetsuya Naito defeated Jake Lee. And this was probably worse than I imagined. This was probably worse than I thought it was going to be. Which is shocking to me. Because I thought Naito would have these brilliant hope spots. The structure in and about itself is kind of what I figured. At the, what was the match? Was it at the All Together show? The last one? The one where they did the tag team bit, right? And Naito just completely like made a mockery out of Jake Lee in that match, right? So you look at the match after and you're like, oh, okay, well, Jake Lee's gonna get his win back, right? This is inevitable. Like you can't let this happen without, you know, someone ringing the bell and going, no, without someone, you know, raising the alarm is what I'm trying to say, and saying, hey, this can't happen if this can't happen like this if Jake Lee is not going to get his win back. And I was expecting Jake Lee to get his win back. I guess he's getting it back at during the playoffs. Oh yeah, you heard me. So I was, but anyway, in regards to this match, since I was expecting Jake Lee to win or whatever, I was expecting Jake Lee to have long heat periods, because that's what he's best at. These long, uninspiring, grab a move, grab a hold, is what I meant to say. Grab a hold heat periods where Naito then afterwards would have like these inspired comebacks, right? Because it's Tetsuya Naito, the crowd would be up on their feet, everyone would be going nuts. But the comebacks that we did get were just so like just splurts, just like, you know, water falling on the ground, just like splashing. And you look at not water, like what's a liquid you really like to drink? Let's use a proper comparison here. Let's say, you know, a nice Pinot Gris, or a glass of Mountain Dew, or a root beer, or, you know, maybe you just like a good old fashioned glass of milk, right? And you watch it just like, you know, it tip over and fall to the ground, and you just see it like splash on the floor, and you're like, oh, this is not what I was hoping, right? Well, this was it here. Like, Naito did two Destino things. I don't even know if they're legit Destinos. Like, I don't even know anymore. But he does two in this match, and they're both terrible. And what was I saying? Just like, was it on night 2 where I was sitting here saying, Naito has to retire this. He should move on to another finisher. I was talking about this 2 nights ago. And he continues to make a case for me. He does 2 of them, finishes the match with one, with the most half-assed, just disaster Destino. Not even a full one. Like, I don't know. Walker Stewart calls it a Destino, and, you know, they count the 3 on it. I'm like, the hell was that? I don't want this to be the talking point of the entire G1 every time I'm sitting down to review a Tetsuya Naito match. Because y'all are going to get really fed up about it. I'm going to get tired about talking about it, because I won't be able to add anything. I'll just be saying the same thing. It's like I talked about 2 nights ago. It's like I talked about on night 2. You know, that's all I'm going to be able to say. That's my impression of myself, by the way. Like, I don't want this. I don't want this to be what I talk about when in regards to Tetsuya Naito. You know, I understand why he's in the tournament. He's the champion, but on top of that, he's the He's the most popular star in the company right now. He is the draw. Okay? You know, if you're not familiar with Japanese pro wrestling, New Japan specifically, Tetsuya Naito is the most popular guy in the company, bar none, and has been for years. So in an environment where they're rebuilding, trying to bring up new guys, who are they supposed to turn to fill up houses? We saw what happened with Tetsuya Naito in the main event on night 1 versus Tetsuya Naito not in the main event on night 2. We saw the difference in the attendance. There were 2,000 people less in the building. 2,000 less people in the building on night 2 as opposed to night 1. Preposterous. It's ridiculous. And Jake Lee, man, it just continues to baffle me. I don't get it. I don't understand. This will also, this is also something I don't want to talk about. Every time there's a Jake Lee match, I'm already exhausted. Going like, I don't know what he's got. Failing upward. I don't get it. I don't know what they see in him. But this guy is not a main event guy. This is not a guy that you go and throw into the Tokyo Dome at the, to wrap up a Wrestle Kingdom. You don't. This is disastrous stuff. Such a long, boring heat segment where he spends most of the time working the crowd. Like, I get it. You have to work the crowd, but to a degree. And he's doing his maestro thing. I don't even understand. I don't understand anything. And I've never understood. He's some kind of maestro and, he's conducting music. What is he doing? I don't understand. He makes me upset. And he does this. Did you see it at some point? Like he's standing atop a fallen Tetsuya Naito and he extends his arms. And he does like this super villain laugh, right? And he's got his whole torso working at it, right? Like a fucking anime villain, like literally like an anime villain. And it's all going, ha, 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 ha. Like no one laughs with their shoulders going up and down the way you're doing right now. And he knocks his head back like he's, like he's an anime supervillain. Like not even Dr. Doom does that. It's, I can't tell you guys and gals and non-binary pals how frustrating this match was to watch. How dull of a main event it was. Technique was there. A story was being told. Like it's not a complete wash. But you've got Naito, Tetsuya Naito. Flubbing his finisher twice in this, and Jake Lee cannot pick up the slack. He just can't. What a weird hire. And on top of that, it makes it even weirder that this guy is part of the War Dogs. I do not understand. I don't get it. He stinks. 2.25 stars for this one. Tetsuya Naito gets his first 2 points and he's on the board. Awful stuff. Forgettable. As far as recommendations go, well, look, I think it's pretty clear, if you've been paying attention, class, that Shota Umino versus Gabe Kidd is worth your time. And I would even go with Jeff Cobb and Konosuke Takeshita. It's sub 10 minutes. No, it is 10 minutes. 10 minutes, 18 seconds. And just a great little time. 2 fantastic wrestlers. That's what I highly recommend. Now, if you want to go a little deeper, you could throw in Shingo and Great Khan, which I thought was a blast. Everything else, you can... Like, there's 3 out of these 6 matches that I think... There's 2 out of these 6 matches that you should hunker down and watch, I think. And you could throw in Shingo and Great Khan in that. That's what I think you should be watching. As I've been recording here, we got the attendance. Yes, sir. We had the attendance for Hiroshima that came out. That's why I didn't talk about it at first. It wasn't available. Now it is 1,972 people there for night 3 of the G1 Climax. You want some comparisons? New Japan for the Climax for the G1. See, no one says the Climax, and I did it again. Maybe I'll create a thing. For the G1 they were in Hiroshima last year at the Sun Plaza, but much later on was for night 12. We were in August at this point, but attendance was 2,006. So we're in the same vicinity. That's fine. Otherwise, if you want another type of comparison, if we want to compare night for night, last year, night 3 was in the Yamagata Sports Center in Sakata, Yamagata, Japan. They drew 1,239 people there. So, you would, I'd consider this satisfactory. It's a little similar to the last time they came in Hiroshima, but definitely better attendance like night 3 for night 3 as opposed to last year. The Sun Plaza, I think the attendance is like the capacity is like 6,000 or something like that. So we're getting there slowly but surely. I'm telling you, you can't underscore how bad the Puro companies were hit by the pandemic. Anyway, I'll get into that right now. So let's take a look at the standings, shall we? What do we got here? We got standings. There we go. We got them. We got them at the right place now. Block A has Evil and Zack Sabre Jr. at the top with 6 points. Shingo Takagi, Gabe Kidd, Jake Lee. No, Shingo Takagi and Gabe Kidd are tied for second at 4 points apiece. Jake Lee, Callum, Newman, SANADA, Shota, Umino, and Tetsuya Naito all are there at 2 points. And Grado Khan still hasn't entered the conversation as far as points go. So he's still at 0 down at the bottom there. Might as well take a quick look at Block B just because we do have our complete standings now that the missing match from 2 nights ago has been done. So Yuya Uemura, Konosuke Takeshita, and Henare are all up there at 4 points apiece, all at the top. Struggling for second place, well, Yota Tsuji, Red Narita, Oleg Bolton, Jeff Cobb are all there. And Hiroki Goto, El Phantasmo, and Dave Finlay all still with the goose egg. But that may change. That may change in 2 nights from now, right on July 25th. So this upcoming Thursday, which is when we will reconvene at the Kagawa Sunmess Arena or venue. Maybe I wouldn't call it an arena. That might have been a little presumptuous on my part. That's when we'll get back together for some B block action. Hiroki Goto will be taking on Oleg Bolton. Jeff Cobb will be taking on Ren Narita. El Phantasmo against Yota Tsuji. I would expect Tsuji to get a win here. Well, even on commentary today, El Phantasmo's leaning into the I'm so sad, my friend has left me kind of thing. And like I said, on my night 2 review, I'm okay with El Phantasmo, doing this as long as it's not the entirety of the tournament, right? If you're in a tournament to lock in a spot at the biggest show in Japan, and you're gonna mope through it because your friend went away to wrestle in a warehouse. Let's get real here, Henare versus Dave Finlay, which I'm really excited for this. I think this is one that y'all should be circling. This will probably be very good. And the main event, Yuya Uemura versus Konosuke Takeshita. I was getting into a beatbox routine there for a second. Yuya Uemura versus Konosuke Takeshita. There's another one you should be circling. I think that's going to be tremendous. Very interesting main event. So yeah, looking like a pretty solid night if you ask me as far as the top of the card goes. There we go. So I think that about does it. We're ready to wrap this up for today. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If you haven't already, leave a like on YouTube or a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or a 5-star rating on Spotify. All those things help out this nifty little growing podcast. And subscribe if it's your first time here and you don't want to miss a thing. So I'll be back on Thursday. We'll be back with some more great New Japan G1 CLIMAX 34 stuff to talk about. So until then, I'll see you next time, which is Thursday.